Hey, welcome back. I want to start today with a question that sounds simple, but will absolutely wreck your afternoon if you sit with it long enough. What if your job disappeared tomorrow, not because you got fired, not because the company went under, but because a machine learned to do it better than you in every measurable way? Would you feel relieved, scared, or would you feel like something had been taken from you? That last one, that's the one philosophers have been quietly screaming about for 2 centuries. And right now in 2025, we don't get to ignore it anymore. Let's go back, way back. George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, a German philosopher early in the 1800s, believed that human beings realize themselves through work. Not just earn money, realize themselves. Like, you don't fully become who you are until you've put your hands or your mind on the world and shape it. He called it objectification. Your inner self becomes real by making something external. Your work is literally you, made visible. Now think about that. If Hegel is right, a world without work isn't a utopia. It's an identity crisis at civilization scale. Then comes Marx. And Marx agrees with Hegel up to a point, yes. Labor is how humans express their humanity. But Marx adds something darker. Most people are already robbed of that. He called it alienation. When you work a job where you have no control, no craft, no connection to what you're making, you're already estranged from your own humanity. You're basically a biological machine. So here's the twist. Marx might actually be fine with automation replacing soul-crushing labor. He wasn't opposed to machines. He was opposed to who owned them. And then there's Hannah Arendt. Writing in the 50s, she draws the brilliant distinction between labor, work, and action. Labor is repetitive, biological, survival-based. You eat, you labor to eat again, it leaves no trace. Work creates something durable, a chair, a book, a building. It outlasts you. Action is political, relational. It's how you show up in the world with others. Arendt was actually worried about a society obsessed with labor and productivity and consumption at the expense of work and action. She looked at our gig economy and say, you're not losing jobs, you're losing the wrong thing and don't even know it. So ask yourself, when people say they're afraid of automation, are they afraid of losing income or are they afraid of losing purpose? Pause here if you're watching this. Genuinely pause it. Think about the last time you felt really proud of something you did. Was it a task you were assigned? Or was it something you chose? Something that required real skill? Something where you mattered to the outcome? Because here's my argument. Dignity was never really in the job, it was in the agency. The factory worker wasn't dignified because they tightened the bolts. They were dignified when they organized, advocated, built community, and refused to be invisible. The artist isn't meaningful because they get paid. They're meaningful because they choose to make something. If that's true, and I think it is, that automation doesn't have to be the death of human meaning. But it forces us to ask, have we built a society where people can access meaning without a paycheck? Right now, the answer is largely no. Here's where we land on this one. Work has carried meaning, but often by necessity, not design. When survival is tied to labor, labor becomes sacred. That's not philosophy. That's economics wearing a philosophical mask. What automation does is rip off the mask. It forces the question we've been deferring for generations. What are humans actually for? And the scary, exciting, terrifying answer is we get to decide. Hegel would say, find new ways to objectify yourself. Marx would say, make sure you own the tools. Arendt would say, for the love of everything, do not just consume, act, build, show up for each other. The machines are coming. The question isn't whether work will change, philosophically and politically ready for what comes after it. I'd argue we're not. Yet, by conversations like this one, that's where we start.